Now, for more analysis on this, we are now joined via Skype by political analyst Professor Dirk Kotze. Prof, good afternoon to you. Always good to have you here on the show.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much.
Firstly, is it unusual for officials in one country to comment openly about appointments and dismissals in another country?
Well, normally it's not diplomatic practice to do that, especially if it is a neighboring country or country very close to you. But in some cases, when it is really a serious matter that deserves comments or a view that is reprimanding or is distancing themselves from it, then it is sometimes possible. Take, for example, at the moment what's happening in Mali. I think, well, all the African countries spoke out against it and also removed it from the African Union. But in the case of Zambia, it's obviously not that level of problematic.
Because we've seen, of course, the statement issued by President Ramaphosa, wherein he assures the government and the people of Zambia that the unfortunate remarks do not reflect the views of South African government and its people. What can this possibly do to the relations between the two countries?
Well, I think after this statement by the Office of the President and to President Ramaphosa's own response to that, I think there's not going to happen very much anymore. The fact that President Ramaphosa distanced himself immediately from this tweet by the Minister of Finance is a clear evidence of where the government stands at the moment. So in that sense, I don't expect any further diplomatic consequences or problems. It is different from for example, what we've seen lately with respect to Botswana, and even in the case of Zimbabwe, where the EFF made statements about Zimbabwe, as well as where quite senior persons close to the ANC were accused of being involved in matters regarding Botswana. Those matters have not come to a close because it is something that went beyond the South African government. And in the case of Zimbabwe or the EFF, it's not something that President Ramaphosa can really address. So in a sense, in comparative terms, it's actually an easier situation, this one.
Mm-hmm. And Minister Mboweni went on to say in another tweet, that this was yesterday on Sunday, which has also since been deleted, that he stood by his initial comments, adding that central bank independence is key and not negotiable. Some could also argue that his comments may be uncalled for, but the actual content on the central bank's independence may be true.
Yes, that is so. The situation, the politics of Zambia is not at a very good place at this moment. If we go back just for a moment to where the background of President Lungu, he was elected in 2016 and he must now be re-elected next year in 2021 for the second term as the president. He came to power with the slightest majority, very, very small, against the opposition party and presidential candidate. And since then, the situation in Zambia was not very much that of a democratic dispensation. What also complicates the current situation is that the governor who has now been dismissed is a relative of the leader of the opposition party. So that in itself complicates the matter. But I think this comment by Minister Mboweni is very much in his capacity as a former governor of the South African Reserve Bank. And all these governors are pretty jealous about their independence. And I think this is coming from that sentiment or that position that he made this statement of trying to protect the role of central banks all over Africa and actually internationally, because South Africa is the coordinator of the governors of the reserve banks or central banks in SADC. So they know each other very well, and they share a lot of interest as a respect of that.
Yeah, but it looks like the media in Zambia is not taking Minister Mboweni's comments lying down. They've called on him to explain, saying that he clearly undermines Zambia's president. So you say that this is not going to create any problems for South Africa going forward?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it is in a sense unfortunate from a diplomatic point of view that he said he will mobilize support against this dismissal of the governor of the central bank. And it looks almost as if it is interference in the domestic affairs of Zambia. But I don't think that is really what it meant. It was more his sense of criticism or his opposition to what happened to a colleague of him, as I explained just now. And in that sense of also saying, well, we as the community of Southern Africa must look after each other and trying to protect and promote democracy as much as possible, and if necessary, even speak out if there's some transgressions in that respect. And I think this is a case in point, but it is not well received by most states or most leaders or most media in the other countries. If it happens that South African or any other person speaks out against that.
So we've heard the presidential spokesperson saying that proper action is being considered against Minister Mboweni to address the situation. What could this proper action entail, Prof?
Well, I think the most that can be expected of him is to formally apologize to Zambia or the Zambian president. Obviously, President Ramaphosa already did it by distancing himself from it. So there's not anymore anything that the South African government itself can do. It is rather just Minister Mboweni saying, well, I withdraw this. And the fact that he withdrew his tweets from his account is already an indication that he does not want to prolong the situation.
All right, Prof, we'll leave it at that. We thank you so much for speaking to us. That's Professor Dirk Kotze, political analyst, helping us to understand the finance minister tweets over Zambia's governor's dismissal.